up guys, Caleb here, and today I am going to be showing you the mock I made from the 1963 James Bond film Goldfinger. Now I've been wanting to do a James Bond mock for quite a while now, but I just haven't really had an idea because there's like 24 or 25 films with a bunch of different stuff in it, and we already got like an Aston Martin from Goldfinger, so I had my mind on the movie Goldfinger, and I was just kind of thinking of I was thinking of James Bond scenes that I could recreate in Lego. And my mind wandered off to the probably most famous scene in all of James Bond, where he's pretty much kidnapped by Goldfinger and he's got him on the sheet and he's got the laser slowly coming towards him, and if James Bond doesn't tell Goldfinger his plans, it's gonna like cut open his guts and he dies. So that's pretty much the most iconic scene in all of James Bond, where he says, "Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die." Such an iconic quote, and pretty much the most famous scene in any James Bond movie. And it's a fairly easy scene to make, I thought, in Lego. I had seen some earlier mocks, and I thought the main problem with them is that I thought this one was a little bit too big. I kind of wanted a bit smaller one that you can, fit in smaller spaces, and it didn't just have to be a massive mock, just a mock showcasing Goldfinger, James Bond, the laser table, the laser, and the background room behind them. And so I decided to build a mock off the scene from Goldfinger. By the way, the original thing will be in the description of the actual scene that I was building, so make sure you check that out to actually see what I'm building in Lego. But this is my Goldfinger mock. Since part of what makes this scene in James Bond so great is the figures and the people who are actually doing it, I decided I would build my own custom Sean Connery James Bond and custom Goldfinger minifigures to go alongside of it. So this is my custom Sean Connery minifigure, and it turned out so good. This turned out incredible. It honestly looks so much like him, especially the haircut. I used the haircut from old Lando Calrissian and put it on James Bond, and I think it pretty much worked out absolutely perfectly. He has the Death Star gunner's torso, which had this little belt that makes it look like he's kind of strapped to the table like he is in the movie, and even a bit of back printing. But I also used the angry clone face because I just thought it captured his expression and his hair and everything just perfectly in this minifigure. And I'm honestly really happy how James Bond turned out. Obviously he's captured, so he doesn't have like his guns or anything, but he's also not in a casino, so he's not wearing a suit or anything. He's just pretty much in a spy gear, and I think it turned out really, really cool. Then I created a custom Goldfinger minifigure, and honestly, I think he turned out just as good as a James Bond. I think what I built pretty much captures Goldfinger's look absolutely perfectly, and I honestly couldn't be happier with how this Goldfinger minifigure turned out. He's got a bit of a stone cold glare going on, and since he has a gold suit in the movie, I actually used the gold suit from the Batcave, and you can actually see it has even a little Batman bow tie, and so that's a little part that I kind of wish I had gotten, normal, but it actually even has a bit of arm printing like glitters from the actual Batcave set from the Lego Batman movie, and I got that, and I had this torso, so I thought it worked absolutely perfectly. I like the blonde hair, stone cold glare, no leg printing at all, but I think this gold coat minifigure of Goldfinger just turned out looking spectacular and looking almost just like him. And then I noticed when we were watching Goldfinger that there were pretty much people in the background in the lab actually operating it, and so I pretty much just made a guy in a white coat, and it's probably my least favorite minifigure just because it's not iconic, it's not a named character, but we needed somebody to operate the laser, right? So I pretty much built my own little guy to operate the laser, and he's just kind of in the background. And here's a finished model, and if you haven't went and rewatched the scene from when he's got him on this laser table, you should probably do that. Once again, links in the description. But I think it looks almost exactly like the scene, right? I think I captured it pretty well. One of the main problems I had is that it's hard to tell what color the walls were in the scene, and so I kind of made them a tan with, the white background for the lab, and tan floors and kind of black floors where the table's at, and honestly I'm really happy how the floors turned out. I got them nice and tiled off, so I'm pretty happy how this mock turned out. Let's dive into a bit more detail. Of course we have James Bond on the table, and one thing I noticed is that Goldfinger actually cuts through solid gold before it hits Bond to showcase pretty much how strong it is.
And so I figured I'd add some gold here and the laser cutting through the gold pretty much right before it gets to him. One also problem with minifigures is that you can't have their legs apart. His legs were pretty far apart in the scene, and they're obviously pretty close together, but honestly I'm pretty happy how it's, cutting through the gold bar before it hits Bond and Goldfinger's just watching him. I'm really happy how this little table turned out. It's not attached at all, but it does have the little belt on him. So it looks sort of like he's, attached and kind of chained into it, which is nice. As you can see, pretty much all this outside is tiled off. We even have a crate and a red and blue light, but then Goldfinger's also just attaching there. And over here we have the lab. I noticed that there's pretty much a lab where somebody's operating it in the background of the scene, and so I decided that I would add a little laboratory. There's actually a door there, some controls, and pretty much a guy working it or controlling the laser. And so I'm pretty happy how it turned out. Just a little thing that I noticed that I pretty much had to include, so I threw it in the scene. But I also included the laser pointer because you obviously need a laser pointer in the mock, and I'm pretty happy how it turned out. With like a spring-loaded shooter pretty much cutting through the gold, actually ends up looking really cool. But it actually has a pretty wide range of motion. You can bend it around in all sorts of different weird shapes, and you can actually rotate it around. It's on a spring-loaded, or not a spring-loaded thing, something that can, turn around. So it actually does have a pretty wide range of motion. You can make it do a lot of different things. But it obviously looks best cutting through gold and almost sawing James Bond in half. And honestly, this is a pretty recognizable scene, I would say. And I am honestly very, very happy how the mock turned out. I honestly didn't know how well it would work, but I'm really, really happy how this little scene turned out, and I like displaying it next to my Aston Martin. For now, I just kind of have it next to the Aston Martin. I think it looks pretty smooth next to it, having just, a little James Bond display up here on the top shelf. And I'm honestly pretty happy how this little mock turned out, and I think it does look really good next to its big brother, the Aston Martin. But this is Super Productions. Sign off for now. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what you thought of this mock. And I'll also be making a bigger mock pretty soon. It's going to be a pretty big mock, so make sure you keep your eye out for that. That'll hopefully be coming out sometime in the next week or two. So make sure you keep your eye out for that, and I will see you guys later. Peace out. Bye.